Khairunnisa Sofiani. Jadi di sini aku kebagian untuk menjelaskan tentang Six Cultural Dimension by Hofstede.
Hai, nama aku Setiawati. Di sini aku menjelaskan high and low context in Japan.
Hai, perkenalkan nama saya Zaniar Karina Khalim. Di sini saya menjelaskan tentang high and low context in Singapore.
Ya, namaku Millati Hanifa Putri. Aku di sini bakal ngejelasin tentang culture-nya di Meksiko.
Aku Nindhita Rizki Ramadhani. Aku bakal ngejelasin tentang festival croissant yang ada di USA.
Hai, nama saya Angeliqa Syamanda Firdaus. Saya ngejelasin cultural conflict and relationship.
According to Hofstede theory, there are six cultural of dimension, such as power distance, uncertainty, avoidance, individualism or collectivism, masculinity or femininity, long or short-term orientation, and indulgence or restraint. On this occasion, I will a little bit explain about power distance. According to Hofstede's cultural dimension, power distance, this is the way people in a society relate to each other on hierarchy scale. A culture that gives great deference to a person of authority is a high power distance culture, and a culture that values the equal treatment of everyone is low power distance culture. To make it clear, I will give an example power distance between USA and Singapore. The US has a PDI of 40 according to the power distance index. This relatively low score is seen as reflecting a focus on equal rights. In American business, it concludes managers rely on individuals and teams, and management is accessible to employees. Communication is informal, direct, and participative. According to Hofstede Insight, Singapore has a power distance score of 74, which is on the higher side internationally. Singaporean society's values authority and hierarchy, but also prioritize meritocracy and efficiency.
According to Edward T. Hall, high context culture and low context culture are two different types of culture in terms of communication. High context cultures rely more on social context and interpersonal relationship to convey message. Information is often conveyed implicitly through nonverbal cues, tone of voice, and deep shared understanding. Long-term relationships and trust are essential in this communication. For example, Asian, African, and South American culture. Low context cultures rely more on explicit and direct verbal communication. Information is presented clearly and in detail with little room for interpretation. Interpersonal relationships may be less important than the task or goal to be achieved. For example, North American and Western European cultures. These differences can affect various aspects of communication, including business negotiations, interpersonal relationships, and cultural understanding. For example, in Japan is generally categorized as a high contact culture. This means communication in Japan often depends on social context, interpersonal relationship, and deep shared understanding. Information is not always conveyed explicitly, but is often implied in tone of voice, body language, and shared knowledge. Why is Japan a high context culture? First, harmony. Japanese society highly values harmony and avoid conflicts. Therefore, messages are often conveyed subtly to maintain good relations. The second, hierarchy. The hierarchical social structure in Japan influences the way of communication. People in higher position usually have more freedom to convey messages implicitly. Third is nonverbal context. Body language and facial expression and tone of voice are very important in Japanese communication. Fourth, respect for relationship. Interpersonal relationships are highly valued, and communication often focuses on building and maintaining relationships.
High contact culture in Singapore. In Singapore, high contact culture is evident in everyday interaction, where much of the communication relies on nonverbal cues, shared experience, and social relationship. For instance, a simple gesture like nod or smile can convey agreement for understanding without the need for explicit words. People often read between the lines and context play a crucial role in interpreting message, reflecting the importance of harmony and indirect communication in social setting. Low contact culture in Singapore. Conversely, low contact culture is informal in Singapore business environment where clarity and direction are valued. In professional setting, individuals are expected to communication their ideas, excluding using clear language and detailed information to avoid misleading. For example, business proposals typically include specific data and straightforward explanation, emphasis, transparency, and efficiency in communication. Conclusion: overall, Singapore exemplifies and blend of high and low context communication style, shaped by its diverse cultural influence, making it essential to adapt communication approach based on the context and audience.
What is the crescent shape made from layer upon layer or flaky pastry, loads of butter, and tastes like a heaven? Yes, you got it. This is a croissant or croissant. And did you know this iconic pastry had its own national celebration day, which is celebrated on the 3rd of January? In the United States, National Croissant Day recognizes a flaky pastry enjoyed at every meal. Croissants are buttery, crescent-shaped rolls are crisp on the outside and soft on the inside. Even though this festival is not as big and famous as other festivals such as Diwali in India and Songkran Festival in Thailand, but this festival is a part of an effort to introduce culture through typical culinary delight. The history of the croissant or croissant. The continental breakfast table has several culinary legends to its name, but it's widely agreed that the history of the croissant originates as far back as 30th century in Austria, with a similar shaped pastry called the Kipfel. Rather different from today, iteration, this bread roll was made plain or sweet using fruits or nuts. Then, how to observe National Croissant Day? The first one, give your favorite baker a shout out. Second, treat your friends and co-workers to fresh baked warm croissant. And the third one, bake your own croissant. 4. Take a baking class to learn to make this delicious flaky pastry to yourself. Next, over a class. That's right, pass on the skill to others who want to learn. Next one, over a special in your bakery, restaurant, or store. Try a new recipe, make a soup or salad that goes well with croissant. And the last one, use hashtag National Croissant Day to post on social media.
Okay, one I have to tell you about Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead for the Mexican people. This culture has been going on from the early 1500s until now. This holiday is celebrated on November 1 and 2, but in some different localities, they might also celebrate this on October 31 and November 6. Let's say this is like a family reunion, but with a little twist. Instead, like of a normal family reunion, the dead ancestor will be the guest of honor. Thrilling, isn't it? Dia de los Muertos. It's a joyful time to help people remember the deceased people and celebrate their memory. And if you thought this celebration is monochromatic, then you are wrong. This celebration is actually really colorful. When this day is celebrated, you will find a lot, as in lots of hundreds of colorful skeletons and bright flowers. You will see people dressing up as skeletons too. So I wanted to tell you how they celebrate this celebration. Firstly, they set up a candlelit altar decorated in the back of their home so the spirit can find their way back home. The altar also offers the deceased's favorite food, musical instrument, or something that is actually dear before they die. So when the big party started, the families will bring a huge feast while cleaning the ancestors' tombstone, sing songs, and talk to the ancestor. Of course, it's not for forever. And the last one is, as I mentioned, there is a lot of skeletons decorated on this day. Let's call it a funny bones because they are decorated in a colorful way. This skeleton also paused doing something or wacky things, such as making tortillas and playing musical instruments such as maracas or trumpets or anything else, or even taking a bath. This also a reminder for Mexican people that death is the part of their life. So that is what I want you to know about the Dia de los Muertos. If you wanted to know the skeleton looks like, I'll suggest you to watch the Book of Life or simply search La Muerte. Thank you, everyone.
So I will tell you about the cultural conflict in the context of Wanabe-ikuji in Japan reflects the clash between traditional patriarchal values and the demands of modernity. Japan's patriarchal cultural system that places women as the primary caregivers in the household without significant support from men conflicts with modern aspiration for gender equality. This conflict appears in the form of traditional versus modern. Women are expected to be ideal housewives according to the concept of Ryosai Kenbo, good wife and wise mother. Although many want to pursue careers outside the home. Also, the gender gap in the division of domestic tasks. Data show that women spend more time on housework and childcare than men, which creates an imbalance in workload. Also, social and structural pressure where social norm that places women in the domestic sphere lead to stigmatization of men involved in childcare and women who want to work. So the resolution of this conflict itself demands changes at various levels such as gender awareness with campaign to increase people's understanding of the importance of equal roles in the household. Also, the policy of the child care leave law for fathers has been enacted, but its implementation is still hampered by patriarchal work norms. By creating an inclusive ecosystem, Japanese society can overcome the tension between traditional and modernity. Thank you.
Can I call you Rose?